First of all, China is virtually absent from the substantive conversations of the Munich Security Conference this year, which is kind of a weird thing. It's in part because the US-China relationship has stabilized somewhat and everyone's focused on the summit, but it's also in part because there are just bigger problems right now. Look, what we see is an absence of governance, an absence of regulation and responsibility in the technology and AI space from the Western governments themselves. And so the technology companies acting as tech sovereigns are taking some of this on themselves. Now, long term, the technology companies are much more committed to ensuring that there's rule of law and that there is alignment among global marketplaces than the United States government is, at least today. If that works, and if the Americans and the Europeans and others are nudged to continue to work together constructively in this space, ultimately that's more stabilizing for China because it's a framework that they can choose to be a part of over time that is powerful. But if they don't, if it doesn't work, and if we continue to see geopolitical fragmentation as opposed to technological alignment, then we're heading towards decoupling and a Cold War. And that's very dangerous because the AI space between the US and China has no coordination. It only has escalation, acceleration, and has literally zero trust. Remember, between the tech companies in the West and the governments in the West, even though trust has been breached, it hasn't been completely broken because the architecture still exists. The common values still are out there in the ether. Between the US and China and AI, there's literally nothing. And that's a space that is problematic.